International to train pilots for the U.S.
Petite served as
the ISS docking adapter. In free flyer mode, the docking adapter can be swapped out for a cupola for the best views while in orbit, and that's going to be the case with the upcoming From 2 mission. Finally, we have the newest option, the Skywalker hardware, to support a spacewalk, and that'll make its debut on Polaris Dawn.
For space exploration.
So Sarah Gillis, the technical competence, we don't get out of any engineering update or brief or go through a procedure or debrief without getting into the weeds and making sure every T is crossed, every I is dotted.
She holds my feet to the fire when we need to understand the systems and the operations. It's her intellect.
Every time she speaks, every word is so thoughtfully prepared that served her in her role as core, it served her in her role as a trainer.
Anna, you have this incredible joy that you bring to everyday life. It is infectious. It makes us all smile.
Feels like she always has this big picture. Doesn't necessarily always speak up on it, but when she does, it's like time for everybody to stop and listen. And then as a biomedical engineer and a background like that inspires like a ton of confidence that when you go up there, if people aren't feeling right, that she's going to be there to
Great news there. Sounds like
to contribute and support organizations here on Earth, as well as continue to push the envelope for space exploration.
So Sarah Gillis, the technical competence, we don't get out of any engineering update or brief or go through a procedure or debrief without getting into the weeds and making sure every T is crossed, every I is dotted.
She holds my feet to the fire when we need to understand the systems and the operations. It's her intellect.
Every time she speaks, every word is so thoughtfully prepared that served her in her role as core, it served her in her role as a trainer.
Anna, you have this incredible joy that you bring to everyday life. It is infectious. It makes us all smile.
Feels like she always has this big picture. Doesn't necessarily always speak up on it, but when she does, it's like time for everybody to stop and listen. And then as a biomedical engineer and a background like that inspires like a ton of.
This is when Dragon's onboard computers take control of the spacecraft. And then finally, at T0, Dragon and Falcon 9 will lift off. While we wait for the crew to finish getting suited and make their walkout,
Hey everyone, I'm Atticus Federa, a propulsion engineer here at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. You just heard from the crew while sitting inside their Dragon trainer, which is an exact mock-up of the Dragon that they will be living in for the next 5 days. Dragon is the first private spacecraft to take humans to the International Space Station, and it's currently the only vehicle capable of returning significant amounts of cargo to Earth. It's also the first private spacecraft to take an all-civilian crew to orbit during the Inspiration 4 mission in 2021. Over the last 4 years, the spacecraft has supported 13 human spaceflight missions and flown 50 crew members representing 14 countries. Through missions like Inspiration 4 and Polaris Dawn, Dragon is helping lay the groundwork for deep space.
Now, currently at Space Launch Complex 39A, now we're currently on schedule to launch at 7 hours, 38 minutes, and 5 seconds universal time. We have the advantage today of nearly a 4-hour launch window. Now, if we're flying crew to the International Space Station, our window would be 1 second long. We have a very short window to the ISS to maximize performance of the Falcon 9 based upon when the space station passes overhead. But Polaris Dawn isn't going to the ISS. We don't need to use a 1 second constraint. Instead, if we do have weather or an issue that might crop up and take some time to clear up, we can delay the launch up until about 11 hours, 15 minutes universal time. But as always with Falcon, once we start propellant loading at T-minus 35 minutes, that will commit us to launching. If we had to hold the countdown at that point, it would be a launch scrub. We would not launch later in the window. But at T-minus 3 hours, 8 minutes and counting, everything is go for launch.
As John mentioned, we are getting close to the T-3 hour mark. We are standing by for crew walkout. This view here is one of the doors of the Falcon Support Building, or FSB, and that is part of Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. And right behind those doors is where our SpaceX suit-up room is located.
Yeah, super exciting. You can see the Polaris Dawn logo there on your screen. But again, this is where the crew will walk out. They'll get to say, some final goodbyes before they get into their Teslas and make their way to the launch pad. So very exciting. I can't wait to see them walk out in their new suits.
Yeah, like I said, this is at 39A, and they will be getting into the Teslas to ride up to the pad. Even though it's just a little bit less than a mile, they could do the walk, but we're not going to do that in the Florida humidity.
Yeah.
We want to keep them nice and cool.
It's a little bit of a walk, as you say. It's not that far, but it's a 3% grade or a 5% grade going uphill. So that's a little bit to do in your suits, even if they're flexible EVA suits.
They are made for walking, but walking in space.
Yeah,
not on the ground.
Good point. That's an excellent point. I was actually at Cape Canaveral a couple weeks ago for some work, and I actually did that walk, John, that you just mentioned. Now, I did it kind of in the middle of the day, and there was definitely a grade. I didn't know it was 5%, but it was more than I cared for. Now, we are standing by for the walkout of the Polaris Dawn crew. We are expecting our 4 crew members to emerge from those doors there on your screen. These are the same doors that you have seen other crews emerge out of, including the Inspiration 4 crew that was also commanded by Jared Isaacman. So it's gotten a bit of a facelift since then, so it might look a little different, but it's the same Falcon Support Building and the same suit-up room that we use to allow time and checkouts for the suits to be put on and make sure that everything fits properly before getting in the cars to head up to the pad.
Yeah, Kate, you talked a bit about the mobility of the suits and some of the upgrades we've made for these EVA suits. I'm hoping we get to see some of that mobility just with the walkout here and with the crew just getting ready to get in their Teslas. These suits are really an amazing feat of engineering. The engineering that went into the joints and just the mobility of the hands and the wrists, we're really going to get to see just an excellent view of all of that. It's pretty exciting. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, just like the IVA suits are an extension of the spacecraft, this is going to be even more so. This is essentially, EVA suits are basically a spacecraft in itself. So I really can't wait to see them in these suits.
We're very excited for you all to see them as well. This will be our first look at the crew today. While they have done many rehearsals and practices, in fact, there they are now. Our Polaris Dawn crew, SpaceX's 5th all-civilian crew to fly on Dragon.
Wow, they just look so cool, don't they?
They really do.
They came out with their visors down, which I thought was really awesome. And now they got their visors up. Raising the roof
Some nice dance moves.
4 on countdown. Crew walkout is on schedule.
Yeah, and you can see even just with how they're waving and moving their arms around, really the IVA suits are not capable of doing that type of motion. So you can really see that even though the suits do look similar, as we've said, there's quite a few upgrades that have gone into these suits.
Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to seeing if the astronaut lean back move will look any different than what we've seen with the IVA suits. So yeah, at first glance, they might not look super different from the intravehicular suit or IVA suit that we've seen before. And oh, look at this great view of mission specialist and medical officer Anna Menon there on the far right-hand side of your screen. To the left of her is Sarah Gillis, also a mission specialist. To the left of her, but in a different vehicle, is our pilot, Kid Poteet. And on the very left-hand side of your screen, of course, is Commander Jared Isaacman.
This is like one of my favorite views, getting to almost be inside of the cars with them, but getting to see the crew in their suits. Again, they use these vehicles to help keep cool air flowing through their suits as well, so they can connect their umbilicals into these vehicles as they make their way to the launch pad. But they also get to listen to, hopefully, at least a song on the way to the launch pad. It's only going to be about
it's like
5
one
minutes.
song.
Yeah, pretty short playlist.
But they do get to pick, even though it's a short ride, their one song that they get to listen to is chosen by each of the crew members. So
So it looks like the SpaceX Suit Up team has assisted the crew into the Teslas. The door's closing now, and the crew will be departing up to Pad 39A momentarily. I love this view. They all look so excited.
Great color palette here too, with the white of the suits and the white of the Teslas. Looks
Yeah.
great.
What I'm curious, we haven't seen a shot of license plates, because a lot of time the Teslas have some kind of a slogan or a saying spelled out on the plates.
Unique to the mission, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've got anything for this one.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, because they are now making moves. You can see the support vehicle leading the way with the 2 Tesla vehicles, bringing the Polaris Dawn crew on their way to the launch pad.
This is Core on countdown.
Oh,
Crew transport to the pad is in progress.
We can see music is clearly going on as we got some conducting there momentarily.
Very excited crew heading to the pad here.
Yeah, just like Jesse mentioned, there is still cool nitrox or nitrogen oxygen air mixture flowing into their suits. That's what we saw the Suit Up team assisting with, helping to plug them in. So helping make sure that everyone stays comfortable in this short ride up to Pad 39A.
Some big smiles there.
They're cruising.
And you could already see the launch pad right there. You could see how close it was. Very short drive. Again, just enough for one song.
Yeah. Now, like we said, the team has performed rehearsals, in fact, a full dress rehearsal where we simulated everything with the launch countdown up to T0. So while the Polaris Dawn crew has put these suits on and has ridden up to the pad in the dark, they've never done it on launch day before. And the feeling of standing next to your spaceship as it, is getting ready to have propellants loaded on board, it just must much be such a different experience. And Jared's feeling it for the second time, so I'm very excited to see his reaction in particular.
I like how he told them, take less stuff. But yeah, I wonder what he's told them about this, because when they walked out of the FSB, when we saw them, and oh, by the way, they were right on time, so schedule's looking good.
Anna was out.
She was very excited. First one out the door.
I'd be the same.
But yeah, when they came out the FSB, they're on the south side, so they can't see the rocket until they actually start to go up the grade, up the pad. So I wonder what their thoughts are as they finally see it all illuminated, going, this is it, it's not a rehearsal.
So while we don't have a close-up shot back there, we were just barely able to see the license plates. They say for St. Jude, and they have original artwork from St. Jude patients, which is so cool.
I love that. I love that St. Jude has the patients do a lot of art, and they utilize the art.
Yeah. Here's a great view.
Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah, some thumbs up.
Our commander and pilot have stepped out of their vehicle with some waves and thumbs up.
So you can see the machine there, which provides the cool air in the transport vehicle. The next step will be for them to take a look at their rocket and spaceship, and then they will enter the elevators and take that up to the 255-foot level. After that, they'll take a flight of stairs up the remaining 10 feet to where the crew access arm is located.
Right now you can see there's a team with them helping assist them with anything that the crew needs. Even though these suits are very mobile, we do want to make sure that the crew is able to easily function, and you can see that they're helping with the umbilicals on each suit as they're going to make their way into the elevator and up the crew tower. And some excited waves and smiles there. The crew is going to, they're walking over to be able to check out their vehicle, as Kate was saying. And
I
a little
love
bit of
this
a
shot.
lean back.
There's a lean back, yep.
Not quite as
Yep.
much as the IVA suits, but
It is a bit
is
of a
great.
challenge where they are, because they're on the side of the vehicle with the strong back, and that'll recline a little bit.
Countdown crew have arrived at the pad.
Yep. And the core keeping track for us on the countdown net, telling us as major events have happened. Again, we're still right on time. But yeah, when they lean back, kind of got an obstructed view of the Falcon 9 with the Dragon on top, because the strong back kind of is in the way. But that's just the price of coming up on the elevator side.
oh yeah, they've got a long way to look up. It's over 200 feet to the top of that rocket, so.
Nice moment here to get some photographs with the entire crew in front of their Falcon 9 rocket. Now the Falcon 9 that's flying today is making its 4th trip to space. It previously supported the Crew 8 mission as well as 2 Starlink missions. And the Dragon spacecraft that they'll be flying in is Dragon Resilience, which first flew with the NASA Crew 1 mission and was followed about a year later with the Inspiration 4 mission.
And as we mentioned, this will be Jared's second time not only flying with SpaceX, but also this capsule itself.
Yeah. And we can see there that the first pair, I believe was Anna and Sarah, have entered the elevator. Right about now, they're hitting the button labeled space on that elevator panel. Once again, that goes up to the 255-foot level.
Once they get to that 255-foot level, they will walk up some stairs, and that'll take them to a very traditional telephone. Well, they'll get to make a phone call to whomever they wish, and they'll be able to,
Yeah.
And there they are. They've arrived at the 255-foot level. They've exited the elevator, and we'll see the stairs here momentarily.
A lot of people coming out of that elevator.
Yeah.
And we can see these arrows on the ground marking the direction for emergency egress. So you will notice that they'll give a little wave there, some fist bumps. Like we've mentioned, that there's been a lot of training that goes into these missions, and so they have close relationships with the crew members. And speaking of crew members, like we've mentioned before, Jared Isaacman was the commander of the last mission to fly with this Dragon capsule, which was Inspiration 4. The Inspiration 4 crew walked the very same steps that you see the Polaris Dawn crew making now. And they also had an opportunity to make this phone call that we're going to see take place here. So we got a chance to talk with the Inspiration 4 crew. Here's who they decided to talk to for their last phone call before flying to space.
When we got to the top of the launch tower, Jared and I came out of the elevator and went around and up the stairs and had a chance to make that final call with that really old push-button phone. And they still pay the phone bill, so it works. That's great. I chose not to call my wife because we had decided together that we had said our goodbyes after breakfast, and there was no need to kind of repeat that. So what am I going to do to make the most of this moment? Well, I decided to pay it back towards my friend Kyle, who gave me the seat to begin with. And I was so glad that he kept his phone on. So when I called his number and they dialed it for me, and I picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Kyle, how are you doing?" And he just started cracking up. He was really excited that I gave him a call and said, "What are you calling me for?" And so I figured I'd give you a call before I get launched off this rock. And he really appreciated that moment. It's another way to include those people that support you along the way. So yeah, I called my friend Kyle, and I think it was the right choice. I hope he appreciated it.
For me, that last phone call before leaving the Earth was something that I knew would be significant. And I'm in a situation where my parents have passed away. I'm divorced. I have no kids. And my first, idea was to talk to somebody who had influenced me, somebody that I looked up to. And so I asked to talk to Michelle Obama. And I was really fortunate that we had connections to be able to make that happen. But you know, that phone call is a personal moment, so nobody else gets to share it. So instead of me having that phone call with Michelle Obama at that moment before leaving the Earth, where it would have been just between me and her, we moved it to the day before. I asked to talk to Michelle Obama, so that my entire crew I was really fortunate this experience of talking with her, which was the right decision. She was amazing. And then that left me with the opening of like, okay, well, who am I going to talk to? And I talked to my brother Langley, which was really great because I didn't know it at the time, but he has early onset dementia. And so this was very special to have that moment with him.
Well, and all of my kids fell in love with Langley and started calling him Papa Langley and spent a lot of time with him. He was absolutely fantastic with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I chose to call my mom, my brother, and my sister-in-law. And my brother and sister-in-law are actually aerospace engineers. And so they had been such a big part of my journey because after a long day of training, I would be studying and I would call and say, like, what does this mean? And it also really bonded us even more. It was just been such a special journey, all of us together. And then getting to talk to them from the launch pad. I remember my mom just telling me that she was proud of me. And then I just remember hanging up because it's kind of in that moment you shift from the day of launch. There's just so many exciting moments where you're surrounded by people cheering you on. But then after you hang up and you turn towards the rocket, you're just very mission focused. Like, okay, we're doing this now.
What a great way to summarize that. We're doing this now. And here they come down the crew access arm. This is basically their final approach to the Dragon spacecraft. This access arm will lead them into the White Room, which is an environmentally controlled room. Helps keep it environmentally stable for the crew and the spacecraft. All love the heart symbol there.
This is so exciting to see our two SpaceX employees making their way down the crew access arm, getting ready to ingress Dragon.
Yeah, but first, before they do that, they are going to be handed a Sharpie. In fact, it's right there. And they're now going to add their name to quite an esteemed wall of signatures. They're going to sign it next to the X logo, of course, which is for our astronauts that fly with our private missions, next to the NASA meatball for the NASA astronauts.
This is Core on countdown. Crew have arrived at the White Room and expecting ingress imminently.
It's quite incredible just to see the number of signatures around that X. You know, we talked about Inspiration 4, which was only a few years ago, and now here we are with Polaris Dawn, which is our 5th all-civilian mission to space. You know, so we're just really getting the numbers up in terms of private civilians going to space.
Yeah, I love this. I love this tradition that you get to sign the wall when you get to fly and basically be able to leave a mark at least somewhere right before you lift off to outer space.
And what's also super cool is this process of ingress that we're seeing. You'll notice crew members in the basically their black onesies, the ninja suits, and these are all part of the closeout crew. You can see a tablet there in action. They're following along with our electronic procedures, or EPROCs. And what I think is so cool about this mission in particular is that the two women that you see on your screen now are part of the larger space operations team that helped to develop these procedures that the closeout crew are using now. So I think that's such a very cool full circle moment.
Also note in the White Room, you know, it's a FOD, foreign object debris. Make sure there's not anything that you're tracking in. You don't want to bring it into the capsule. And the tablets are an example of that. You know, when I came up in the business, everything in the clean room was still paper. And you'd watch somebody actually using a pencil and eraser and trying to erase something, and then all of the little rubber shavings are going down on the ground. You're going, oh, wait a minute, that kind of violates the concept of no FOD.
Yeah, that's a good point, John. The White Room is actually a clean room environment. So the crew arm is actually pressed up against the Dragon spacecraft to create a seal to make sure that, it's environmentally controlled inside of the crew access arm as well as the white room before they ingress to prevent, FOD and any exterior weather entering inside the white room.
This is a great view of the crew access arm in its entirety. We can see that they are now entering the capsule very carefully. There are some protective pieces around the hatch that helps protect the hatch itself, as well as the suits and helmet. We can see now that Jared and Kid have entered the white room and are about to add their signature. I have a feeling that Kid may have just pointed to Jared's original signature from his Inspiration 4. And I think Jared's probably trying to figure out what to do now.
Yeah, where does he put his second signature? He's our second frequent flyer after MLA. Michael Lopez Alegria, who flew twice on Dragon, and now Jared gets to be a frequent flyer on the same spacecraft that he flew on before with Inspiration 4.
Yep, very cool.
I don't think we have an Air Miles program set up yet, but maybe one day we will.
We gotta work on that, yeah.
So inside the capsule, Sarah and Anna are getting situated in their seats. There is a closeout team member inside the capsule helping them get buckled in with their safety harness. Oh, actually, we can see there now our first live view inside Dragon Resilience. Sarah and Anna occupying the window seats, as it were, which is absolutely the seat I would also want if I were flying in Dragon.
And more importantly, mission specialist seats go in because that'll still leave the center line open for when Jared and Kid go on in. So there is kind of an order to how you get into the Dragon spacecraft.
Absolutely. And as we mentioned before, our procedures document all of this down to a T, even down to the fact that the pad preparation crew that arrives in advance of the astronauts, they actually have it in their procedures to make sure there is a Sharpie ready to go in the white room. So we can see now Scott, or he actually goes by his call sign Kid Poteet, now making his way momentarily, getting a final check for zipper fitment and the finer adjustments of the spacesuit before ingressing into the capsule. Jared waiting so patiently.
Yeah. And the crew is there again to help them. They're also helping check for FOD, but you'll also see them as they ingress to protect their helmets from hitting the hatchway as they enter, making sure they don't damage the suits, making sure they don't hurt themselves while they're entering. And that's what that crew is there for, is to help them with every and anything in preparation to get into their seats and get ready for liftoff.
We can see the suit up, the closeout team there assisting Kid, make sure he doesn't bump his helmet as he enters. If you're wondering what that green flashing light is, that's actually a hazardous operation indicator used at all of our facilities around Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center. Green means go, as you can see. We will, of course, right about, whenever we have a pad clear period, that status indicator will change to yellow and red, of course.
Yeah, Jesse talked about the clean room, the white room, and the seals around the spacecraft. You get a little bit of a look as Jared gets ready to ingress. But the seals are in place. Later on, we ought to see, they'll retract the seals, and then you can see daylight, or in this case, night, around the spacecraft as we get ready later on to retract the arm. And there goes Jared into Dragon.
The last Polaris Dawn crew member to ingress the Dragon spacecraft.
I can't wait to see an up-close photo of what Jared decided to do with signature number 2. We can see all 4 crew members now in their seats, Sarah and Anna. So just a quick rundown on the far left side of your screen. In seat number 4 is Anna Menon. Then to